Oh my god, you're amazing.
There's a lot of stuff in here. Also water. That's
Okay.
important. Also vitamins.
Great.
And the little frames that you might bring all of these.
That's amazing. So excited.
Good luck.
All right. Hey, everybody. I think we're live on Facebook. I'm waiting to get live on like Twitch and YouTube. So just give me a second to just, see that everything is working. And then, and then we're going to start, Learning Elixir on Friday. And it's going to be super fun. I have a cool project for us to build, a lot of cool stuff to learn. Pretty excited. And I also just got like a delivery of like 8 Red Bulls and a Snickers bar. So we should be all set. My computer, of course, is crawling because that's what happens when you stream stuff. But how do I mute this? I did this last time. I can't close this window. All right, so if I close this window. Okay. I don't know if that just exited my Facebook stream, so I'm going to have to check on that before we get started really quick. I guess I don't know how to do that necessarily. All right, give me 1 second, guys. Okay, everything is working, so we're all set. We're going to get started. I'm just going to tweet out that I am live streaming. Live coding, me learning, Elixir. Let's just use the Twitch link because that's predictable. Okay. All right. So, last week when we were learning Elixir, what we built is basically like a simple kind of tic-tac-toe game. I was pretty proud of it, but then one of my devs, Steven, rewrote it and made it way better. Let me see if I can pull up his code, if I remember his GitHub. Otherwise, it's going to be way too complicated, and I'll just skip it. But what I want to build today is on Learn. We have an awesome magazine of all the blog posts that students write while they're in Flatiron School. And I thought it'd be really fun to basically figure out a way to grab the data from here. And I'm pretty sure this is being loaded via an AJAX request, so we'll probably like grab it from there. Man, okay. Yeah, so those are all those articles, and what I basically want to do is kind of create like a command line version of this so that you can basically like type in Learn Magazine and get all of these articles. That'd be the idea of what we want to build. I think that like scraper programs are pretty fun because you have to basically deal with like HTML and data and things like that, and I think it'll push us to learn more about Elixir in a different kind of domain. So that's what I want to build, and I have not done anything before this since last week to like learn more Elixir or anything like that, so I'm still in the exact same place I was in terms of like knowledge. That's definitely going to be the URL we're going to need. So yeah, that's kind of the plan. The topics that I really want to explore today are, let me make a little to-do file to keep myself organized. So let's see, I don't know, things I want to learn. I want to understand structs, object states. I want to learn mix and like proper Elixir applications structure. I want to learn how to use, I don't even know what they're called, but like packages, like gems, namely one that can scrape HTML or parse HTML. And yeah, I don't know, that'd be a nice little learning goal. And I guess in terms of like what I'm expecting the program to do, I'd also like to bit about testing. That'd be pretty fun too. And I guess like what I'm imagining is it'd be really cool if like you type in like learn magazine or something. You type that into the command line, and then you know, I want to say like something like, you know, the Learn Co student magazine, recent articles, right? And it should basically say something like, you know, 1. And then like, you know, grab this article and that article and that article, whatever, right? So like we have like something like this, right? Oh, that sounds like a good post, right? Maybe something like that. And then maybe, I don't know, let's try, I mean, that'd be interesting if we could even scrape the author name, something like that, right? And then 2, etc., blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, it could say like, which would you like to read? And then you type in 1, and then it should give you actually the full text of the article. Wow, so we're going to be scraping a ton of stuff, because we're going to have to scrape this thing too. Ooh, this is going to be difficult. Well, I guess let's actually not do that. What we'll do is when you type in that, what I'll do is kind of kick off to bash and just open the URL of the article, and it'll open up in the browser. Yeah, that's good. Let's do that, right? As opposed to trying to scrape all this. Because anyway, we're not going to be able to get all this content formatted well for the command line, so what's the point? All right, so that's the project. And yeah, let's just get started. So, from my understanding, in Elixir, there is, there's Stephen Inez's thing. I want to find his tic-tac-toe one, because I want to kind of, here we go. So let's actually compare for a second Stephen's version of tic-tac-toe to my version of tic-tac-toe and talk about some of the differences, because I think really the differences between our implementations speak to how awesome Stephen is, and also like some really important Elixir patterns. So let's go back into day 1. I'm just going to clone this down, and let's just look at these side by side for a second. So this is Stephen's implementation, and this is mine. And the first thing you can see is that you know, Stephen's has like a config directory, a lib, a test, and it looks a little bit more like project structured. I mean, I guess, and that's because he generated his project with a package generator or a program application generator in Elixir called Mix, which we're going to learn about. And then the way Stephen built his tic-tac-toe, it's pretty similar to ours, sort of, but like, you know, in this mix.exx file, it seems to be like saying that like the thing you do is like call tic-tac-toe application, and I guess you're passing in an empty board. I'm not sure exactly what that is yet, but here's the application, and I don't know what this means yet, so we're going to figure out what use is, and then start, and yeah, like I mean, again, like I don't know what this tic-tac-toe supervisor thing is, which is going to be complicated, but the big differences that I see is that like there's this idea of a struct in Elixir, and I'm not sure exactly what that is, but we're going to have to learn about that. Places are, and in fact, let me just add all this stuff to my to-do for today, because this is really where I want to learn these kind of nuanced things, like what is a struct and how is it helpful, right? What's an alias, right? And like kind of like as I go through Stephen's code, that's kind of what I think about is like, you know, how like Mix is structuring this, and we'll see how we go. Another thing that Stephen's like return values are like very, they're always using, I think these are called tuples if I remember correctly, and he's really using these patterns to kind of create them. This is a really cool method signature where he's defining the requirements of the arity of the arguments of the method within the method signature itself, which I really like too. Yeah, what are these things, like at empty position? I'd love to know what that is, right? Like, what is an at symbol mean in Elixir? I have a good sense of what this does already, mostly because I asked Stephen, but we're going to talk about that. Like, what's percent board mean? And then, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess that's where we're going to start. Oh my God. This is crazy. I did not see this implementation, but yeah, so I would love to know a little bit more about how all of the stuff that Stephen built works. And he also wrote tests, which is really great too, because, you know, we can kind of like mirror some of his testing stuff to figure out what we're doing. Okay, so now we've got like a lot of questions. We know we want to build, we know we want to learn, and we can basically just get started. What I want to kind of do right now is, before I start actually building anything, I want to read a little bit about Mix, and then I also Googled how to build a command line application Elixir, and I pulled up some blog posts about writing command line applications in Elixir, and I'm basically just going to do what I normally do, which is this article, Introduction to Mix, I'm going to read it's a little long. I'm going to read this pretty in-depthly, and then these guys I'm just going to kind of scroll through and see what's in them. That way I can like refer back to them and things like that. And then the other thing I want to kind of pull up is like structs and module attributes, right? We talked about like that we need to learn about those things a little bit. So I'll have those open also. All right, so let's see what's going on in here. Introduction to Mix. When you install Elixir, besides getting Elixir, IRC, and IEX executable, you also get an executable named Mix. So Mix is basically like it generates an application, kind of like the Rails new generator. And let's take a look at project compilation. A file named mix.ex was generated inside our new project folder, KV, and its main responsibility is to configure our project. Let's take a look at this. Cool. Defines two public functions: project, which returns the project configuration, like the project name and version, and application, which is used to generate an application file. Okay. Private function named dependencies, which is invoked in the project function, defines our project dependencies. Mix also defines code lib with a module containing exact one function called hello. Then we can compile it. The libkx file compiled and application manifest generating KB that was generated and all programs consolidated. The build directory using the options defined in the mixx. Once the project is compiled, you can start an IEX section inside the project by running IXS based on the mix file. So you compile it. Mix also generates the application structure for tests, and okay. So one thing I'm looking at over here is when it says use XUnit case, this seems to be like kind of like include or extend in Ruby. It looks like it's a way to mix in the functionality of another module into this module, which again is saying that's giving us these test methods that have an arity of 2. Okay, so then we can write mix test, telling us a little about the assertions and how that's going to work. We have environments, which I doubt we're going to actually have to deal with right at this point. Like, I don't care if this always runs in development for now. Or on Windows. Okay, exploring much more. All right, I mean, I guess that's what mix does. So let's just start it out, right? Let's go into our day 2. And I want to say mix new learn magazine. I did cheat a little bit in that earlier in the week when I was just looking to make sure I knew which library I wanted to use for like an HTML parser or scraper, I found one and I wanted to make sure I knew how to use it, or at least how to include it. And one thing I learned is that when you create an Elixir application, you can't use dashes in the name, you have to use underscores. So learn magazine is the name of our application. And that's basically going to generate that project structure that we just talked about after reading that guide. And here is the project. We have a test, we have a lib. It says hello, we have a config. There's nothing in there. Okay, we got some module docs. I don't know what that really means. We have a test. That hello is world. And then exunit start. And I guess that's it. So now it was talking about compile. Right? So like if I say mix compile, what does that do? So now it basically compiled everything, created a build for dev, lib, and then I have no idea what this is. So if I say like iex.s mix, that's going to give me an interactive Elixir console that has this project loaded. So if I say learn magazine .hello, I get world, right? So that kind of shows me that it works. That's good news. Otherwise, I think I can also have said like Elixir, actually I don't even know what else, right? Like how would I run the program outside of an IEX like thing like that? Like right before we were able to say like Elixir, if I say, what if I do this? What does that do? That does nothing. So yeah, I kind of want to know. So what I basically want to try to figure out is I don't actually know. What I'm trying to figure out is like I want to make this application so that when I run it, it actually says hello. And I don't know where to put that code, right? In the sense that what's supposed to define, right? So mix compile. Right, but how do I run my program? What if I type in just mix? Well, I mean, that's not going to... That's interesting. It looks like it did... It looks like it ran the program, honestly. But because there's nothing that I can tell so far in the code that's explicitly saying that when this program is run, what I want it to do is this. So it's kind of like hunt around for a second. And I think in here, right, run mix help compile app to learn about applications. Right, so like in Steven's example, which is nice to have, you know, he had, do I have another window open here? I do, great. In his mix.ex, he had like this thing, I guess. And I guess I kind of just want to play with that and just see like, so he had tic-tac-toe.application, which he defined explicitly is not part of. Or do I have that file also? Whew, we are lost. Right, so I didn't get an application file. I think we need to read a little more about mix. Because I just don't understand exactly like how I'm supposed to define like how this application should work. So I guess we're jumping to the general overviews available on the mix documentation. And let's kind of read a little bit more. Because like what I want to do is basically put like, I don't know, this there, and then instead of tic-tac-toe application, what if I just say like learn magazine.hello? I don't know, I'm just like curious. Now if I type in mix, what happens? Okay, let's pass it an empty list. Yeah, so there's something we're not understanding about kind of how this project is structured, because I want to be able to just run this program before I move on. And I just don't know how to do that. Like, I know that I have like a really simple application that basically, in theory, has a function that's to say hello, like, you know, what if I do like, 1 second, let's say IO puts, let's say hello world, right? Because actually, you know, I had a false positive or false negative before, in the sense that when I typed in just mix, it didn't do anything, but it didn't break, right? Like when I did mix over here, it didn't do anything. That makes sense, because even if it was calling the hello function, which I don't know, again, how it would know to do that, it wasn't actually printing anything. So let's just see what happens now. Yeah, that didn't do anything either. Yeah, so we're going to go and read a little bit more about this stuff. What does mix run do? What if I say learn magazine dot hello? Yeah, still not sure how to actually run a program. So let's just continue. Projects can extend Mix's behavior by adding their own tests, so the actions will inside your project will make it available to everyone that uses your project. This task can now be in Mix Hello. Interesting. So this Mix task thing doesn't really say where to create this file. I think we're going to have to definitely do some exploring here. Okay, so mix task is interesting because mix hello seems to be, you know, using this word or something like that, which I like. I just don't know where to put this file, right? Like if I create this, I mean, on one level, I kind of just want to drop it in here, but that definitely feels wrong. Let's just say, yeah, I don't know, let's just do that. And then on run, what I basically want to do, let's just try this. If I say learn magazine.hello, can I now say mix hello? Right, so for some reason, it doesn't find the learn magazine lib yet, which I definitely don't like. And I don't know where to put this task that it would know where it is. So we're just going to have to kind of continue and just read some more. I'm also thinking that I might want to start reading some of these blog posts, because what we're dealing with right now is really not understanding how to like correctly structure a mix project. So let's keep on reading. Right, and I just don't see anything in Steven's like tic-tac-toe about this stuff, right? Like I never actually tried running it, but he's got this application thing, and I guess like let's talk about that for a second. All right, at this point, mix is like definitely big and confusing, and I kind of, yeah, so at this point we're just getting to like really like specific stuff about mix, right? And we don't want that. So I guess at this point, what I want to know, I'm just going to start reading this stuff. Okay, so writing a command line application in Elixir, and it says mix new example. So over here in our project, we can say ES scripts and the main module's example, and then it's basically expecting a main function to kind of kick everything off. Okay. Okay, this is useful. All right, let's follow this example for a second. So let's go back to our projects. And we want to do something like that. And the main module is going to be Learn Magazine. And then the Learn Magazine module must define a main method, I believe, that accepts all these arguments. And then we can basically say, and then let's just call, can we say learn magazine.hello in here? Yeah, and I don't know, now, right, so we did all that. Okay, so now let's try this. If I say, okay, so now if I say, so now I have this executable of Learn Magazine. I'm just curious what's inside of there. Perfect, so that's compiled. And again, the only dependency right now is Erlang. So if I say Learn Magazine, oh, perfect, okay. Okay, so that is definitely one way in which we actually can create a command line executable, which is to say that we use ES scripts, which is some sort of like Erlang thing, and say that there's a main module, and there's Learn Magazine, and that has a main method, and that basically kicks off the process, which basically means that Learn Magazine here is kind of like a controller, not like a model, which is fine. Okay, all right, and now let's continue reading this blog post. Okay, cool. So there we go. So that was a pretty good introduction. And let's continue reading some more and see what else we get. All right, so pretty similar material as the last article. Let's just continue. Yeah, so they're all mentioning this same kind of using ES script, pointing to a module that then defines a main function, which I'm totally cool with. Right, I don't really care about option parsing right now. Okay. Yeah, same thing. And then I'm just curious about this application thing too. So yeah, this looks a little better, and I'd kind of want to use this, but I don't quite understand what like all of it here. And at this point, I'm kind of itching to actually like start building. And because I can actually run my program, right, and I know how to start it up, right, that'll recompile it, and everything is working right now. And I still can jump into the code, right, with like that, with this guy. So I'll still be able to like debug and play with the individual functions and modules and stuff, right? So I don't see why not to just continue and keep this ES script structure as opposed to like this application type behavior. But I'm definitely very curious. Okay. So at this point, basically what we have is an entry point. Like I always think when I'm building a program that I want to understand what's the first thing that happens. Like I think a program is kind of an arrangement of dominoes, and you just basically got to be able to track like when the first domino is hit and stuff like that. So because I'm compiling it, right, I'm saying the main module is Learn Magazine. As long as Learn Magazine implements a main method, I'm good, right? So this is going to be kind of like our controller, right? And yeah, so with that, let's say I just kind of want to start with like start, and I'm going to say like, you know, welcome to the Learn Magazine, right? And then over here I want to start fetching articles and printing them, maybe, okay? And now I'm going to say basically Learn Magazine.start. And now if I type in, if I rebuild this, and then I just do, and I run it, welcome to Learn Magazine, perfect. And because we're not using these args, I'm just going to replace that with an underscore saying accept the argument, but then basically ignore it. Have to rebuild, which is a little annoying, and then perfect, awesome. So no warnings, and basically at this point in time, now I can move on to actually like trying to start figuring out how to scrape and things like that. So the one thing I did before this, look at all this, is figured out how to add a dependency to my projects. And basically you define a private function called deps, and you grab this guy, and we're going to talk about what Floki is in like 2 seconds, but it's basically my little scraper, or my HTML parser. Perfect, so let me just grab that, I don't even need this line. Okay, so now we have a dependency of Floki, and let's talk about what Floki is in a minute. And then I think it's like mix deps, mix deps to like install it. Cool. Oh, mix deps get. Cool, and now can I still compile it? Cannot find rebar, which you need to build the dependency mochi web. I can install a copy. Should I install rebar? So yes. Don't know what that does, but whatever. Okay, and now I still should be able to run it. But in theory now, my application has access to this library. So yeah. This is going to be the fun part. Okay. So Floki is a simple HTML parser that enables search for nodes using CSS selectors. Given this HTML, I can say Floki.find and things like that. It's suggesting some other thing called HTTP poison, which is great because I was actually about to ask, how am I going to actually get the contents of the web page? And I guess it's going to be using HTTP poison. Okay. So the first thing I want to figure out is basically And I'm going to start programming directly into kind of the start function, but eventually I kind of want to break this up into different files, but I'm a little intimidated by how to like make sure they're all loaded. So I'm not going to worry about that now, but okay. And I'm going to use this other thing for that. Right, that's great. I want an HTTP client. I definitely need that. Okay, get, that makes sense. Perfect, beautiful. So we need to add the dependency of HTTP poison. So I'm going to add this dependency also. And then usage. Oh, that is super weird. Okay. So I guess at this point, what I'd really like to try actually is if I do this now, well, first I got to do mix dependencies get, right, to get the HTTP poison thing actually loaded. Cool. And now I want to go in an interactive version of my project, and I basically just want to see, can I use that constant? Can I call HTTP poison at a URL and see what we get back? So I don't need to have this build directory expanded. Right, so it's going to be something like HTTP poison get URL. I'm just going to keep it like a note here. And then the URL I want to get, it's going to be this one, which might be actually super annoying because this actually might be JSON, in which case we're going to have to find a JSON parser and not non-HTML parser, right? And I just want to make sure if I do curl Learn Co magazine, what right? So that's that. Yeah. So all the actual articles are loaded via AJAX via JSON. So this is a nice little API endpoint if you're ever curious. So now I actually need a JSON parser and not an HTML parser. I guess so. Okay. So we're not going to be able to use Floki for this. So I need a JSON parser Elixir. Cool. And incredibly fast. Okay, but still I can try this example, which is if I say HTTP poison.get and then that, what do I get back? Okay, so I got back a massive thingy. Right, and it looks like it's a tuple saying OK, and then and this is what we're going to talk about in a second, but I have an instance of a struct of HTTP response when there's the body, and then there's all that JSON that we need. Cool. So we've successfully done that, and now it's kind of like, so let's get this dependency in there. Okay. And we can drop Floki. We're not going to need that. Okay, so let's abort, and then mix steps gets. Okay, and what is going on here? Wow. Okay. So what I'm thinking here, we're going to be using this decode function. And I don't necessarily know what Oh, that's a string. Okay, cool. So it's basically saying that it gives me back kind of like, I don't know, this looks like a hash in Ruby, I guess, to me. But I want to pass, it's going to be something like, I wonder what the bang also at the end of decode and get is. Why is this decode and versus parse, right? Parser, poison parser, parse. That makes the keys atoms. Okay. Okay, so we have two options. We have this decode and we have, ooh, this is really interesting. Okay, let's play with this for a second. Okay. Let's say I want to create a new file. No, I still want to play. Okay. So we're able to get all of the content back from that JSON. So what we need to do is, okay, so HTTP poison get URL. I know Steven's going to be mad at me because I'm going to do like variable assignment for now. But what I want to do is basically say like, okay, let's say URL equals, and where was that? URL, there we go. Okay, so there's that. And now we're saying like, and it wasn't that simple though, because content was that, but it was a tuple, and we cared about, right, like if I do this, right, so now, right, so the question is how do I get, and here's where, by the way, everything I learned last week, I totally forgot. We need this thing, and how do I get the second element out of a tuple? So I'm just going to jump to my code from last week and try to remind myself. Right, there was enum at, and that was, I believe, for a list. And there was like, I remember being like elem or something like that. Let's just make a quick example. X equals okay, hello. All right, something like that. There's my tuple. And if I say X, so this doesn't work, right? That's gibberish. There's no idea, right? Was it like elem for X1? Right, there we go. So that's the way I remember getting things out. So now my content, so if I say like elem content 1, I should get back, right, okay, so now I only have, I have this like, I mean again, like I know it's not, but from my understanding this percent thing basically saying like this is a struct, and I'm not quite sure what a struct is yet, but it's an instance of like HTTP poison response and has a property called body, and I guess what I want to say, let's say response equals, does the underscore work? Nope. So it was elem content 1. And now if I say response, please just work. Ooh, look at that, response.body, perfect. Right, so basically, I could then say body equals elem content 1. Nope, yeah, dot body. Right, I think that chain will work, I'm not sure. Let's try it again, just to make sure. So that body is basically what I want to pass to the JSON parser. Great. So that works. So now I have body, and that's my JSON string. right? And now if I go to poison, let's just start with decode and not say as or anything like that, because that's pretty intimidating. But that's really cool, right? If you have a module, kind of into that. So I guess I want to use the parser at first, and let's say if I say poison parser, oops, and here if I say poison parser parse its body, right? Yep. So now I should get back, right, so there we go. So this is the parsed JSON of all the data I'm going to need, which is great in that we've taken that string and we've converted it to JSON. And it looks to be like, again, like some random kind of hash type objects, right? And then if I say blog posts, then I have all of these guys, right? So let's just do like JSON equals whatever I just typed in, which was JSON parse body. Cool, so now we have the JSON, and if I say blog post, is that a thing? Awesome. So by basically, it looks like I can, luckily, kind of, oh no. It says key blog posts not found in this thing. But there is a key called blog post, but it's a string, not an atom. So I think we need to learn a little bit more about structs, these percent things, right? So yeah, okay, so let's go look about structs for a second. Ooh, we can use that. Okay, cool. So if I say, okay, cool. So if I say like JSON blog posts, nope. What about a string? Okay, cool. So JSON blog posts then gives me all of the posts. Beautiful. Okay, so let's just, again, like right now I'm just really trying to get it working. Like I don't like the way I'm doing this. So that's my body. And then what we did was we parsed it and we said JSON equals body, right? And then we said, ooh, what did we do after that? Right, so JSON, and then we said like blog posts equals JSON blog posts, right? And I think wasn't there like an IEX.start or something like that, or pry, right? And I don't remember how to use this exactly, but I remember it being in my tic-tac-toe. We can say require IEX, and like maybe this will allow us to, I don't know, jump into that moment in time in our code. Let's try it. Okay. Yeah, that feels right. Okay, let's see what happens. Let me get out of this little console. And this is going to run our program? No. We need to compile, which is that. I mean, this is not going to work. I just can't imagine that once you compile it, you actually end up jumping in there. Yeah, so that blew up. I don't know why. There's like a way to jump to like, right, so it doesn't like that, and let me just make sure IEX.pry is a thing. I mean, the thing is that once it's compiled, I can't imagine being able to like jump into there. And what I really want to understand, because like I guess from here I could just say learn magazine.start and like recreate it myself, and that should jump me into that pry. Right, there we go. So here I can say blog post and see what I'm looking at, and there's that structure. That works. I wonder if there's a way I can like pass the command I want it to run to this, like, so that just starts it up right away. Does that work? Right, so the task learnmagazine.start cannot be found. The task, right? This goes back to like defining those tasks before. And I'm wondering, like, should I try to figure out how to make an Elixir task for that? That way I can like avoid having to like go into the IEX shell and then like basically like hit my domino with learnmagazine.start myself. Yeah, I guess so. All right, let's figure out how to make a mixed task Elixir. And I'm hoping that, I mean, again, like I understand the syntax over here. I just really have no idea where to put this file. Just zero. Once I learn Elixir, I'm going to go back and help them with all of these, you know, stuff. Documentation is what I meant. We're having fun. We're learning. Okay. Okay. So he made a directory. I'm copying. I'm not even thinking about it. And I create a file with the name of the task. I mix task salute. Okay, so I'm going to call this task run. I don't want to call it mixed task example. I don't know what to name it. Okay, so in here, in mix tasks, I'm going to make a new file, and I want to call it something like, it seems like this thing is basically used as like, I'm going to call it learn magazine tasks. No, because then I'm going to have to run mix learn magazine tasks, and I think that's crazy. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm like struggling with what to name this stupid file. Okay, so this is going to somehow correspond in some magical universe. Mixed task example. Okay, so it's only that's the part. So I'm going to call this I'm sure I'm going to call it, yeah, all right, I'll call it start, okay? And then it's going to be called learn magazine start, is that right? Learn magazine dot start, right, that should be right, okay. There's no dot, oh, there it is, okay. So it's learn magazine dot start. Cool. And the file is a .ex. Okay. And in here, okay, let's just start it like that for a second. And now, cool. And if I say mix compile now, does this work? Okay. And now if I say mix learn magazine dot start, is that a thing? Okay, so that works, I guess. Man, I'm so lost with where I was going with any of this at this point, but I know what I want to, I think, like what I want to do is basically now just call learn magazine dot start in that file, and that should basically kick off the pry session, hopefully. Assuming this actually works, if I say learn magazine dot start here, and so I have to recompile it. I guess we'll find out in a second. Hmm. Okay, so it doesn't like that, but we're close. Let's just don't worry. Right? Still doesn't like it. I know that because we're using mix. What I basically want to be able to say is it's that other thing that we did before, right? When I said this, it complained about there not being a task named that. Interesting, because it ran that, right? So when I said ix learnmagazine.start, it was able to run that task, which is also interesting because now what I'm getting is actually, this seems to be actually more about like making my request or something, right, from HP Poison. Okay, let's just go back a step and let's just try, right, because we do know that this works. And now once I'm in here, can I call Learn Magazine .start and not get an error? Interesting. So we have an error because basically it timed out, which is blowing my mind. Let's try one more time. I have another idea too, if this keeps on giving us problems, which is that I'll just save the JSON file locally and we'll just read it from there, because it seems like that endpoint can be a little slow. Okay, cool. All right, so that works. And all right, assuming it doesn't time out, let's just see if this works again. We'll go one more time. Yeah, all right, so I'm not able to figure out how to basically use the tasks, and my best at this point in terms of like running my application while I'm developing it is to basically go into the interactive Elixir console and then run learnmagazine.start myself, drop in, and that's how I'll be able to debug and stuff. And just to, let me see, so right, so if I get, let's just do, what was it, like io.inspect or something? I'm just curious, like if that's my whole program now and I compile it the way I was before, which was using mix.es script builds, right? And now if I run the program, the compiled one, I'm expecting right now to just see basically like a giant blob of text. Beautiful. Okay, so everything is working. I have a good sense of how, if I need to debug, I'm going to be able to do it, which is by dropping into there, but I'm pretty annoyed that I don't quite understand how the tasks, like I don't get the dominoes of how this application is actually structured to run yet. But, you know, it's good enough. Ooh, Elixir School. You look like you might be, you know, useful. Yeah, I mean, what does like mix.appstart do if I just type it in? Nothing. Great. Okay. So I guess this is the best we can do for right now. And it's 5. Like, we haven't really gotten to the meat of this yet. We've just kind of been experimenting with mix and kind of playing with a JSON parser, an HTTP library, and things like that. And now the next thing I want to do basically is something like that, but then which is like inspired by this use case over here, where like I could say like as a person, right? And then if I have like this module of a person, and it's, I guess I don't know what derive is and things like that, but like this looks pretty cool, right? It's like given keys in a JSON object that correspond to, I guess, attributes in a struct, it'll automatically give me those, I guess. So I really like to use that. Yeah, I don't know. That's where we're gonna stop right now for like 5 minutes. Yeah, I mean, because this is a long time, I'm gonna take breaks basically every hour. So yeah, I will be back in like 5 or 6 minutes, and we'll actually start like a kind of brute force approach to this, get it working, and then refactor it into being more Elixir-ish. That's my current plan. All right, I'll be back. we're back. Okay. So what I'm thinking now is I kind of want to just try like dropping a new file inside of lib, probably called, I think, like article, and see if I can get this poison JSON decoder to leave me with many copies of a struct defined by person. And again, I don't know how Elixir loads files. Like if I create a new file called article.ex that defines a module, does this get auto-loaded? No ideas. We will find out very quickly though. So let's grab this def module thing and let's put that there. Okay, cool. And we're going to call the module an article. And I need to look at the structure of this. Yeah, I guess what I really care about is, let's just grab all of these, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. So I think this is like, right, article seems to be a collection of these structs. So if I say like author name, blog ID, excerpt, I didn't even know that worked. Let's just grab, I guess yeah, let's get submitted at, let's get submitted actually. Submitted, let's get title, let's get URL. Right, now the idea here will be that in theory, if I say that I want to I have no idea. I guess I want to play with it. Let's just, because we have a pry anyway in there, and we know how to open that up. So let's just try this again. Ooh, look at that. Okay, perfect. Learn magazine, line 42. I must have commented out. Well, that end looks, okay, that does not belong there. Cool, one more time. Okay, so now if I say, well, first the thing I want to know is, does article exist? Beautiful. So, okay, so one thing I know is that any file I add to lib seems to be like auto-loaded or auto-required. So I can just add files, I don't have to worry about that. And then if I say learn magazine dot start, what I really want to play with is, okay, so body is the string. Now what I basically want to say is like poison dot decode bang, and again I don't know why the bang method is there, and then I say body, and then I say as article structs. What happens here? Well, that didn't quite work because I did not get, oh, I see why. Right, because the key there is blog posts. Right, the issue here is that the body, right, there's this kind of master key called blog posts. And then inside there are actually all the blog posts. But by that point, I've already converted it to JSON. So is there a way right, this is what I'm looking for, right, because it's like nested in the sense that, okay, so this is going to become the body, and then it's blog posts, which is the nested one, find all blog posts in that key, and decode them as an array of article. That feels right. Let's see what that does. Beautiful. Awesome. Great, 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 great. That was really cool. So we now have like the state of each article as an article thing, right? And if like I say like enum.at for, let's say articles equals this guy. Okay, and now if I say enum at for articles, and I say 0, that should be the first article. Nope. Close. What's 1? Okay, so, 1 is that whole thing. Okay, let's go one. Okay, it's going to be like, I don't know, results equals that thingy. Oh, well, let me see, hold on a second. What if I don't surround that with an array? Do I then just get the flat articles? Let's see. Nope. It didn't like that. I'm just curious as to the particular error, if there was one. Expected map got, okay, so it got, right, an array, and we didn't like that. So we need to surround that in an array. So if I say this, then I get, okay, so now results, the problem is that it still has this key of, it's within blog posts, I see. Okay, so then if I say results blog posts, that's going to give me, oops, continue, okay. Okay, if I say results blog posts, nope. Okay, I don't know where I am. Okay, we got abort. Okay, so learn magazine dot start. All right, so now results. Ooh, because I didn't save that. Okay, so that wasn't in there. So let's take that in. Okay, and now we have results blog posts. This is the enum that I actually care about, which is the list, the actual posts. Okay, so now if I say enum at for results blog posts, and then let's say get the first one, this should actually be an individual article. Beautiful. Okay, so if I said article equals this guy, and then I say article dot author name, okay, perfect. Okay, I got this. So, and then I can say, let's say articles equals results blog posts. All right, so this basically replaces all of this crap. And now here we're left with basically just all of our articles. So let's just do it again. Cool. And now we say enum at articles 0. That's one article. Beautiful. Okay, so now, just again, I'm kind of going to brute force this, and I'm going to refactor this a lot, which is in the enum module, there has to be an easy iterator. And I shouldn't have to use like my own kind of recursion thing. So like I'm hoping that there's basically like enum implements like some sort of really elegant each method that will allow me to go over all of them. Right? Like I don't care about mapping here. I really just want like an each type thing. This is what we want. Okay. Okay, so let's try this guy. So enum each articles, and then I kind of want to, as opposed to using an anonymous function there, I'm going to comment that line and then duplicate it. I want to see if I can pass this an actual function name to call, like print article, right? And then if I say like def print article, and that takes in an article, and then I say do end. Does this work where I could say like io.puts article dot, what was the name of it? Title. Let's see if that works. Yeah, I wish I knew how to like reload the code. Like I'm just not happy with my developer work cycle here. So it's saying that print article does not exist. I'm just going to try moving this below the start function, although that would blow my mind. We'll figure it out. And then my next try is going to be to basically explicitly call it. I did mean that, but I thought you were automatically going to pass the argument in. Right. Okay, so I don't know how to. All right, the best I can come up with is to do this. And this kind of reminds me of JavaScript here, where I'm basically wrapping it in a function to then just basically get the variable explicitly and then pass it to print article for X, right? I'm just going to name this article because it's a better variable name. And then and that works, right? So now basically I'm passing each individual article to function article, and then I'm basically just passing it to this other function, right? Whatever's. And I know the Elixir way to do this would basically be like article pipe operator to print article, but that's what we're doing right now. Okay. See what happens. All right, there we go. So there are all the articles. So that's pretty decent. Okay. Is there like an equivalent of like each with index? Okay, let's do each with index elixir. And it's going to be like enum. Okay. So in Elixir, we'd be basically doing this, right? And okay, what I still want to do is okay, let me paste this code in. Oh my God, this file is such a mess. Okay, so this becomes articles, and we pipe articles into enum with index. Okay, all right, this is part of, okay. All right, that feels like some good indentation, right? So we're saying enum with index, we pipe that enumerator, I guess, into enum each. That then is going to be the article and I, and what I basically want to now say is print article, and pass in both the article and the I, right? So let's get rid of this line, and now let's modify this to also take an index, and what I want to say is I plus 1, article title, and that should give me a nicely formatted printout of all the articles. Right, and if I start it again, it doesn't reread the code, right? Oh, it might have. Nope, it did not, because it printed them all out again. Okay, so let's just exit. Oops. And do it again. Cool. So those are the articles that we care about. Let's just do article.trim to get rid of some white space there. Okay, and then what we want after that is another like prompts, and I think it's like, was it io.gets? Let's say something like that. I thought we could say trim on a string. Right, didn't we do that like in tic-tac-toe or something? It's string trim. All right, everything has to be like that. So it's really something. All right, I'm curious. What I want to kind of do is, what if I do like I mean, I wanted to build it in as some sort of behavior on this module, but I don't really know how to do that. So I guess what I have to do is really do string.trim article title. And I know I'm passing stuff around as opposed to piping it in, but that'll work for now. Ooh. Which article I'd like to read? 1. Cool. Now if I say article to read, it's 1. Perfect. Okay. And then basically it's something like article to read, and pipe that to string.trim, and pipe that to, now we need to learn how to convert it to an integer again, and that's integer.parse. Okay, cool. And then we want to subtract 1 from that. And I don't know how to do that. I'm just going to say like minus 1. Okay, and now article index should just be the number 1. No, it should be 0. Right. Yep, it didn't like that. So when did we subtract 1 in tic-tac-toe? Really broke it apart. Okay, let's just play with some examples. 1, new line, pipe that to string.trim, pipe that to integer.parse. That gives us back 1. Oh, it's a tuple, that's right. So how do I do this in tic-tac-toe again? Right, because I was using this value, I was using that pattern match over there. All right, I can pipe this to lm. Does that work? No. Right, so given this example over here, what I'm saying is, can I pipe that to like lm0 and somehow get it? Oh shit, look at that. That's cool. So then that should work, right? Now that whole line should work. Right, so if I do, and then if I surround all this in a parenthesis, and then say I want to take the result of that and minus 1 it, or do I have to pipe it? Perfect, but would this also have worked? Okay, so I could say kernel.minus if I wanted. Yeah, sure. Let's do that. It's pretty weird. Okay, let's just run it all again, see what happens. Cool, and then I type in 5, and now article index should be 4. Nope, that did not work. So we're going to go back to doing it like that. Awesome. Let's just make sure I get back 4. Five, and then article index. Awesome. So that works. Cool. So this is really actually print article title, by the way. So let's just change that. And I guess the next, oh man, I hate this code. Okay, let's just try this really quick. Like in Ruby, you have the backtick operator or the system command to basically like pipe out to shell commands. And I want to do that because I just want to call open on the article's URL. Cool. So let's see. If I say, nope, I want to say, what was it? It was like system command. Okay, so this will give me Avi, perfect. And now if I say like open, and I don't know, the argument is, let's say https google.com, does that, oh crap. Cool, so that'll work. So what I basically want to say is this. Okay, so I want to say and this is going to be enum at articles, article index. That's going to return to me that, and I call URL on that, and that should work. Right, so in theory, yeah, okay, let's try it once. Nope. Okay. Fine, let's do 50. Cool. That worked. Awesome. Okay. Exit. Nope. Okay, cool. So now let's compile it again. And let's just try it from the entire, oh, we gotta get rid of that code. Oh, we also need loops in here and stuff. Wow, we got a lot left to do. Okay, and now if I just say .learn magazine, cool, and Sinatra project 33. Cool. That's awesome. Okay. So we have like a working version of this. I have to get rid of all these comments. They're driving me nuts. This is some serious spaghetti code. It is very un-Elixir, but it works, which is nice. Okay, so things we want to learn about. I guess next steps, right? One, we need a loop for reading more articles. Two, do we want an excerpt before opening in the browser? Three, can we move four, clean up parsing. Yeah, I mean, that's currently what I'm thinking we need to do. And then we still have all of our open questions about, like, you know, like there has to be a way to, like, you know, because the task didn't work, right? When we built, like, I can't, yeah, like saying mix, what does that do? Right, I need to avoid and like this doesn't work either, right? And does this work? Yeah. Right, because like, you know, that workflow of like typing in like IEX start, IEX mix, and then basically having a type in Learn Magazine start, that really sucks. So in terms of other questions, like, right, which is really also about while. Okay, and then, okay. So those are questions we have for our current application. And then in terms of where we were before and our learning goals, okay, let's see what questions we've answered. So I understand the structs thing, right, which is say that like, if I want to create a new article, I'm basically saying like article and then name or whatever, right? Okay, cool, because there's no key. That's cool. So it's kind of like typed, right? So if I say title, okay. So that works, right? And I know I can call like dot title on that, right? But like what else can I do with this? So I guess I kind of want to read about structs a little bit. Let's do that. Let's go to Elixir School and just, or here, let's start there. Okay, so I understand this. And then, all right, let's go. Okay. Okay, so they can have default values. We can update them, quotas like that. Okay. Great. So here we're saying that Meg is a struct similar to John, but the name should be Meg, which is pretty cool. Okay. Okay. So that was some useful information about structs. I guess what I really care about is understanding like how these come together to create like behaviors. And I have some ideas. I'm also curious about what protocols are. I guess I should have read these things. Yeah, let's just do some reading and then we'll take a little break. And then I think one of these windows is like Elixir School. It seemed like a good resource. And I kind of want to find that again. Where was it? Not here. All right, we're going to start closing some tabs. Okay, here's Elixir School. And we had that stuff, modules, okay. Oh, mixed, let's also read about that stuff too, because we knew we wanted that a little bit. IEX helpers, let's go to there too. That looked fun also. We read this guy. What's an advanced? Executables, let's read about that a little bit. What are umbrella projects? Let's look at that too. All right, let's read some behaviors also. Specifics. We don't really care about any of that stuff. Oh, debugging. That looks like fun though. Let's read that. Okay, and yeah. Static code analyzer. I don't care about that. I don't care about that. Debugging. Yeah, I don't care about that. Breakpoints, I don't care about that right now. All right, cool. That was fun. Modules. Okay, this looks like what I wanted to read about. So, reading. Okay, so the @ symbol is basically kind of like a constant in Ruby. It belongs to the module. It's accessible throughout the scope. Can't really see any good use case for that besides like the URL of the site we're scraping right now. Like as in we can, yeah, let's do that. It'll be fun. This URL is never changing, and right now we're storing it in a local variable. Let's just call this like learn magazine URL. Okay, and then over here we're going to say @learn magazine URL. Right, so that's kind of like a constant. That's fine for me for now. Okay, so now here we got structs or special amounts defined. So in this case, struct must be defined by the module. It takes the name, form, it's common struct for only things defined in the module. It's common for a struct to be the only thing defined within a module. Okay. Ooh, via composition. Expresses a variety of different ways to interact with other modules. Okay. So this is So alias is interesting in that it'll definitely ease up like printing the article a little bit. Okay, so import's not really what we want here. We definitely want alias, which is interesting. No idea what use does still. It seems to be some sort of, I don't know. It has to do with, yeah, okay. I have some ideas of how to structure the code a little better, but not too many. So let's keep on reading. This is fun. Sort of. Okay, so mix, cool, build embedded. I don't know what that does yet. Yeah, that didn't really help at all in terms of my understanding of how to better use mix, which is upsetting. All right. This is just some random stuff. That wasn't really helpful either. Executables. Yeah, we're there already. We did that. Nah, we definitely don't, we're not in umbrella project lands. That really looks interesting, but not in our current use case. Okay, so we didn't learn a ton. Or actually, I mean, I have a sense of like how to structure this a little better, but nothing like, none of my big questions were answered. And just to keep my, you know, stuff, I want to kind of get rid of all this crap. Okay, I think this is interesting. I'm going to keep that open. I can close this, I can close that. We talked about that already. All right, let's see what else we got here. Right, so we did that. Okay, so we read about that. We read about structs. I'm just not clear like how to necessarily like leverage the struct I have with like the functionality, modules and functions, function capturing, default arguments. 1 second. All right, so it looks like the / will basically give a default value, which is nice to know. Right, like that basically means that do work x is equal to hello if there's nothing else provided to it. Okay, I'm into that. We learned something. Okay. Right, and I remember that Stephen's tic-tac-toe did have an idea of a supervisor, I believe. Right, like we had. No, it didn't. Yeah. That's a better way to print a board. Yep, so there was no idea of a supervisor there, so sort of don't want to necessarily read about this. Um, okay, this looks important, but my brain is just not working enough to read about it. We're not going to worry about agents right now. Yeah, neither of that. Yeah, we're not doing that either. No, we're not doing that. Okay, so basically, we didn't learn much. We learned default arguments. And what I'm thinking now is mostly about creating some sort of other module that I can pass articles to for a certain functionality. I guess I'm thinking of like an article presenter type object. Because like, so what are the things that suck about this code? Oh man, so much. Like this stuff I'd like to move, right? Okay, so this we want to move into some sort of like I want to move this in some sort of like input parser type thing. I want to move this stuff into some sort of like article getter. Right. And then I want to move this maybe, I don't know, some sort of like article opener. And then I want to move this into like, this needs to be like an article presenter. Okay, so those are kind of my beginning questions. So I definitely can move some stuff to other objects. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this seems like it's going to be a nice refactor. I just don't quite get how it's going to work yet. You got to see the objects. Okay, like, let's call this article loader. And the point of it is to return a struct of articles, right? And it said that's not uncommon for an article, for a module that is basically a struct, to just be entirely empty, right? Because like what I'm thinking is, does it make sense to move this functionality inside of this class or this struct or module? Okay, let's do this. Let's move it. Okay, let's say if I wrote, I like to kind of sometimes write the code I wish I had. So article loader gets piped into articles. Interesting. What I'm thinking is, before I break this into other modules for no reason, does it make sense to just basically put these in functions within this current class? Yeah, I'm okay with that. So let's say load articles, and let's take that value, and let's say present articles. All right, that's not bad. So this all goes into basically load articles. Okay, and now let's start cleaning up this and making it Elixir. So we take that and we pipe that into lm And we pipe that into this poison decode, and then it's just as this guy. And then we just say blog posts. Okay, so in theory, that should work. Let me copy this line of code, because I want to keep what I had working before. All right, so forget variables, let's just pipe. And I like it like this. Okay, so does that work? And then if I say def present articles, and that takes in an articles array, right? And I could like pattern match on that. And basically what I'm doing here is this thing, right? Okay. Well, the problem is that we never got articles over here. Right. Yeah, I mean, before I get the, okay, let's just comment all this out for a second and see if it still works. Learn magazine line 4. Oh, okay, we don't need equals, I think, just like that. Nope. Okay, so it looks like one thing I need to constantly remind myself is that the order that I define things matters. And that all of this stuff needs to come below it. All right? Okay. Load articles does exist. It's right there. Okay, so that wasn't actually the error. So we want to call that like that, I guess. And then the error was actually on line 49, which had to do with, I guess, okay, I got this. So LM1, that'll work. Now that's basically returning me, but it's on the body. And I want to pipe that to here, but I need to call body like dot body on whatever the return value of this is. Okay, let's just break it in 2 lines then. Let's just say And then another line of code will do like something like that, which is a pretty weak pipe, but whatever. So if I say learn magazine dot load articles, what do I get? Cool. I get all of them. All right. I'm not super happy with this code. And I still don't know how to deal with the fact that I never created a variable that I need, because later on I'm going to need to like do that, right? So also another question I have is like, be nice to not have to like scrape every time I call load articles. Okay, it's 6:08. I'm going to take like a 5-minute break, and hopefully we'll make more progress in like structuring this better, because I don't feel like I'm quite getting the way to structure my code cleaner in Elixir, which is disappointing. All right, I'll be back in a few minutes. we are back. Okay. Unfortunately, I was hoping to get some insight from Steven again, but he left. Work, I mean. So he's not here. And I am, I guess a few things I'm thinking right now. I think when you're learning something, it's important to basically be able to like suspend disbelief, I want to say, which is like a term from like fiction, where I basically imagine that it works this way and then I move on. So I'm not like, as I'm kind of fumbling through this, I'm not getting stuck on like every single thing I don't understand. I sort of like take a concept in Elixir for granted, accept it for what it is without a full understanding, and move on. And that allows me to make progress without kind of getting like really deep down random rabbit holes. And it's hard as a beginner when you don't know a language. You're not really prepared to go down a deep rabbit hole because there's so much you don't understand that it's kind of like the deeper you get into something you don't understand, the more things you're going to find you don't understand. And then you gotta have to put them all back together, and that's really difficult. So like, I think one thing I've been doing effectively is sort of like, just moving on and suspending disbelief and like not necessarily worrying about every single thing that's wrong, but like you can kind of see me like taking notes of like these ideas that like just don't make sense to me. So there's that. Another thing, one of my favorite quotes about programming is this Kent Beck quote where it says, "Make it work, make it right, and make it fast." And this is kind of like a priority in that like when you're programming, man, just get it working. You cannot improve the quality or structure of broken code. So like, in the beginning, like I know based on our last session with tic-tac-toe that Elixir is not necessarily into all these like variables that I like to create. That I tend to think a little more procedurally than functionally right now. So I like to like get a variable, get some data, pass it around, and then I kind of try to improve its structure. But that's allowing me, again, to just make progress without getting stuck. And then I guess the last thing is sort of like, I have a sense, because I've read Elixir code and I've read Steven's code, and I like to kind of like peruse projects and just look at their source, that this isn't right. And, at this point, I guess in an ideal world, what I'd really like to do is really read way more Elixir code. Because like now I know a lot more about like, for instance, what a struct is and things like that, but I'd love to see it in use better. And like, I guess let's kind of go through, now that we have a little more insight, Snickers, because I'm a little hungry, could use some sugar. I have a little more insight into like what some of this stuff is doing. So let's kind of like see if we can like take apart this project that Steven built a little bit better. So from his mix file, oh, that was delicious. I'm sorry, I just realized you probably all can hear me chew. It was like totally disgusting. That was like an amazing bite of a Snickers bar, okay? Like so good. I cannot believe you're watching me chew a Snickers right now. Okay. Man, sugar is a powerful thing. Let's go into Steven's project. Okay, so in this project, if I type in mix, what happens? Right, so generate the tic-tac-toe app, but it still doesn't play it, which is really annoying. And it was like a mix.app start. Was that like a thing? Apparently not. So I don't even know how to run Steven's application. And there are no tasks in that lib folder. If I say mix run, does nothing. What about mix local? That's just a bunch of hex stuff I don't care about. Man, it's driving me crazy that I don't even understand how to like run his tic-tac-toe game. Like I want to play it. Bananas. Okay, let's try this. I mean, how crazy is it that I don't know how to run his code? Like I can't actually get this game to fire. And if I say like IEX, like what I was doing like in my application, right? So that's going to load this, but the game doesn't actually start. Which again just blows my mind that this is like, I must be missing something so trivial here. Just like really, really trivial. Like just a fundamental misunderstanding of like how these actual applications are supposed to work. What's next? What the hell is an agent? Oh, man. I mean, it's like really blowing my mind that I just can't figure out how to actually run his program. Yeah, I mean, once the project's compiled, you can start an IEX session inside the project by running IEX mix, but like, how do you actually like run the damn like program? I mean, I'm gonna Google it in like a second because like it is just really like crushing me right now. Um, It's almost like it wants me to run like mix run, and like, I mean, I'm just guessing over here. If I say mix run tic-tac-toe dot start, what does that do? Great. What it did was nothing, in case you missed that. It runs a particular command inside the project. Great. Steven didn't make and there's like, nah, can't be that. Tic-tac-toe dot application. Oh man, I'm so like close to giving up. I mean, these answers are so opaque. Yeah, I mean, like, it's set up as an application, but you know, it's still not running the stupid game. Yeah, that didn't do anything either. Awesome. I mean, yeah, it didn't do anything. What about... Yeah, that didn't do anything either. Wow. Hey, come in, Steven. I thought you left. All right. Cool. So Steven's here to help.
Hey.
Hey, everyone. Okay. A lot of questions. One, this is your tic-tac-toe. How do I run the game?
So right now, you have to start it manually. So you go into IEX and then start it.
Okay.
So if you go to IEX, the mix, I think it's tic-tac-toe .start. So not this thing, but yeah. So you'll call start.
Okay. So cool. I got that. That's beautiful. How do you actually create something to like not have to drop in an IEX and start it manually?
So you're kind of on it. So you usually have this application start and like start everything and then run stuff. One thing about these apps is Elixir apps usually start what are called processes, and your system is just a collection of processes that talk to each other. In this case, the CLI library isn't really a process. It's just like running, taking IO, and just like spitting stuff out. So actually starting, I'll give you an example. Like, you mind if so like if we did something like this, if we said, like, let's just comment this out. And here we did like tic-tac-toe dot start. It actually won't behave the right way. When you do mix run no halt, it'll start this application. We could talk about how that happens. It's in the mix EXS file. It tells you like how to start it. If I do the mix run no halt. So it starts my tic-tac-toe, but like, oh no, that works great. Never mind, ignore me. Last week I was doing this, and for some reason IO was a little weird. So I would do, if it works, and I think this error you get because start is supposed to return a very specific thing. It's supposed to return something that says okay, that returns a process that is the root of your application. But that's how you would start it. I think like if you wanted to get around this, so that
could you also use like a mixed task for this?
Yeah, you could use a mixed task that just like runs this thing, starts, and then when it's done, it's done.
Okay, cool.
This, you know to load this like tic-tac-toe application because here it makes EXS. There is...
No.
Oh, that's a different one.
This one.
Freaked me out. I was like, where's all this stuff? It's basically this here that says the thing that starts this application is tic-tac-toe application. So it's going to go and like find start and call it and pass any arguments you pass in that list.
Okay, but you can actually run it like that.
Yeah, this would work. This is going to expect a very specific like return value. The return value is like, I think it's like crooked. Okay, and then some PID. So I'll just say like self. Okay. Don't get too hung up on that. But it's supposed to return like the root process of your entire system.
Okay, so now when you do run no halt, what it's doing is it's basically reading in here, finding this, seeing that there's this module, and automatically invoking the start function on it, which is then basically kicking off to this. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's cool. Okay, so I understand that, and I guess I have a lot of questions. Yeah. Okay, so that's one, and then in terms of right, so that's properly running this would basically be like. And that's what I was kind of asking. Like, if I make this like task, right, and say run learn magazine start, where like that's my main module, and there's a start function. How do I run that task?
So there should be. This is mine. This is yours, right? Yep. I think there's like a mix. The equivalent of like rake-t.
Yeah. Try tasks. Or local even. Mix. I think it's mixed local. Yeah, do local. Those are the hex tasks.
Yeah, those are the hex tasks. So how do you do this?
And is it just the name of tasks? I do kind of want to try mix-t.
Oh, no.
So I don't know. Let's just guess it. It's a learn magazine dot start. Okay, right. So that ran it. However, and you can see like so it's printed out the first output, and then at some point I'm making HTTP requests, and for some reason when I try running it like this from the task, it doesn't like the. I mean, I'm getting this weird server that if I run it through IEX, I don't get.
Yeah, so this is fun. So Hackney Manager, remember I was saying like applications usually return the root process. It's like your tree of different disparate pieces that are like talking to each other. Hackney is an application that has to start. So what you didn't know is, where's yours? There's Learn Magazine here. Right? So when you call HTTP poison here, it reads the mix file, and then it starts these applications for you. And then like starting HTTP poison will start Hackney.
Interesting. So it's not like a gem in the sense that
It's not just some code. That
Right. Well, we're starting a program, and our program is sending I/O to that program and getting it back. Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. So it's almost like servers talking to each other.
Right. Little processes. Cool. Okay.
And then HT Poison is this root program
that
runs a bunch of other stuff, and it encapsulates a bunch of other libraries and stuff. Sorry. But it encapsulates a bunch of other, HTTP related code. So this wraps Hackney, which is a library for doing all that stuff. So the question is real question is, how do I run a mix task? Because I think we're hitting the mix task. I think we're saying,
we are, yeah.
So I think if we do Learn Magazine.
Ooh, that'd be sexy.
Yeah. Oh, why did Magazine start?
Because I named it that.
Oh, okay.
I just named it learnmagazine.start.
I see.
I was like looking at a guide, and that's how they named it. But I could have obviously. I mean, I was also worried about like some naming conflicts, right?
Yeah.
But now it's just Learn Magazine, right? Oops. Right. So that'll give us like a little more elegant task name. Let's do mix, because why not? I don't even know what it does.
You shouldn't have to. By running Learn Magazine, you should compile stuff.
Right, okay, cool. So what we basically need to do is, in some point in here, before we actually do Learn Magazine start, we kind of need to tell, like, HT Poison or Hackney, like, yo, make sure you're started up also.
Yeah. So how do we do that? So I would look up, like, mix task load environment, or a better way would probably be start applications. So mix task start applications. Because that's that concept of like the separate application, that's what it is. That's the language that they use. So like HT Poison is a separate thing.
Mm-hmm.
Start hey, let's look at that.
Oh.
Okay, so I haven't seen this code here. So we can try that.
I don't know if I have an application module.
It comes built in.
Ooh.
That's part of this.
Okay. So the idea would be to basically do like that.
Yeah, give it a shot. And that pattern matching will let you know if it didn't explode or not. So no such directory, HTTP Poison app.
Wait, that's Potion. I think it's we're using HTTP Poison.
There you go. Hey, look at that. Didn't blow up.
Awesome.
Look at that.
Cool. Okay. So that's better because that's way more fun to run than IEX Learn Magazine.start.
Agreed.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. Okay. So that's using a task as kind of like a runner.
Mm-hmm.
So short of otherwise, what I could do is like use the application kind of module type thing, and then say mix run -- no halts. If I correctly configure this to use that.
Right.
Cool.
Right.
Okay.
And I would say this is better because the other thing is expecting another kind of application.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is expecting that kind of like root process to be returned.
Awesome. Great. So we got that. That's fun. Okay. All right. So I guess so. Here I have this article, and from my understanding, from what I read, when you're using a module as really like a struct, you're not really supposed to program anything else into it, right? So like, for instance, like print title, right? Whatever. Like if this function was in here, is it like, are you supposed to be saying something like then when I wanted to use this, it'd be like article.print title, and then I pass in like an instance. Oh, I know I'm using the word instance, but please don't.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Is that how it wants it, or would it be article? It would be like that, right? Yeah. Is that kind of, or do you want this object to be like, like what I'm thinking is like I want like a module, like something like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's the same thing as like another language, like separation of concerns. Like if you are presenting it in a specific way for a specific HTTP versus CLI versus JSON, like sure, break those out into like different presentation layers, specifically the presentation example. But if it's a matter of just like transform, like if I was going to do something like update author, I don't have a problem putting that on the article module. I would have a function called update author that took an article, took the old one, updated the new one, returned the new one, returned one based on the old one. So I think that's fine. I think it just, the concerns about like whether or not to put it here fall under the normal like separation of concerns. Like, is it the article's business to know how to respond to a web request, for instance? But if it's like updating that struct, totally in here. Like,
Okay.
It's totally fine.
So yeah, I mean, I guess this is like, so here's one question I had, right? So load articles is going to return to me all the articles I'm then passing to present articles. Later on though, like right here necessarily, I then need to like, you know, get one article out. So how can I like take the return value of this and also put it in a local in a variable that I can then use later on? Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. So if you need that intermediate, so you're saying that like load articles is going to give you something you're going to use later. You want to pass it into present articles, but then use that first return value as something. Right? So you're going to reference the return value of load articles. For those cases, you want to do it separately. You can't use a pipeline. The pipeline is the idea that you're transforming this thing, and the intermediate values don't matter.
Okay. Right. Okay. So it has to be this then.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you can pass it like
Present articles. Okay. Okay. Cool. Right.
Right. Because at this point, this thing has a name. Right? The idea of articles is the thing we care about. We want to reuse it. We want to transform it. It's not just like an intermediate step that's like on its way to being useful.
Okay. And then in terms of load articles, you know, I was making a note to myself that like, should this be another module, like an article loader that, you know, but I just moved it into a function, right?
Yeah.
So here is where I'm loading the JSON. I'm getting, it's the first elements.
Oh, because it's a tuple.
Yeah.
So htpoison, I'll give you this one, then it's kind of cool. So htpoison has these, this is a common pattern in Elixir. So there usually are two functions with the same name. One is get, one is get bang.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Yeah.
I saw that with like the poison JSON decoder too also.
So if you don't use the bang, the kind of code that you can write is something like this. And I saw you write something like this last week. So case this thing. And you can say if the response is okay, the response, do one thing. If the response is error, like 404, 405, whatever, do another thing. All right. This pattern is like the way you would write code with this, like get, no bang, because it's going to give you that tuple. Okay, it worked. Here's the response. It didn't work. Here's the
right. Get bang is basically you don't care about the. Right, it's dangerous.
Get
right?
bang
because basically if it breaks,
can crash your process.
Exactly.
Which is fine. Like when you get into like the server stuff, it's actually okay for stuff to crash because it means that there was bad input. So you actually don't want it to progress anymore. But the benefit of the get bang is that it gives you just the content. It doesn't give you the okay, so you don't have to do LM1. It'll give you back just the HTTP poison response struct.
Awesome. And then, so now, ideally what I'd like to do is pipe, I want to pipe the response to this, right, into decode, but I still need to call .body on this.
Right.
So I guess what I want to do is, it's really .body, and pipe that into this guy.
Right.
And now I don't need the intermediate variable. Right. Well, I really like, by the way, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, you can kind of like peel off.
Yep. And then, okay, cool. And then I'm just curious, is there a way to memorize stuff in Elixir?
I mean, there is through processes. If you need to keep track of a value over time, well, give me the problem. Where would you know?
Right here. Like, I'd like to be able to call load articles many times and not have to actually, like, once it loads it once, don't worry about it. I guess, can I declare a module attribute within a function?
No, because they get built at compile time.
Okay. There was a typo there, which is great.
What I would say is, like, I would write the code so that you don't call load articles multiple times. So once you've loaded it, you have the articles, you pass that data in.
Okay, so then I do all this. Okay, cool.
And this might be
It has to do with.
the decode argument.
And how does Elixir know to basically that I'm calling the arity2 of decode, but take the response of this and pass it as the first argument, not the second one?
It always passes it as the first. So it'll always, the pipe always means first argument is previous return value.
And I can pipe this to io.inspect, right?
Right, if you want to see what it is.
And then continue to pipe, right? Okay, because my guess is that,
It's not what you expect.
yeah, that body over there is not, it's not working.
Let's see.
Nope, body was a massive string. Right, so that is right.
So why are you doing the as, blog post, article? So you're trying to say decode you're trying to decode them into an article struct? Is that what you're on?
Yeah, so because the top key in here is blog posts. So basically by saying blog posts, I'm saying read out of here, which is going to give you all of these, an array of, I'm going to say hashes, and cast each hash into an array of those guys.
Okay. Interesting. And what does the bracket blog posts do?
It still seems to return to me, it's still nested in that like the return value from this still has like a blog post's key that points to an array of articles. I'm just basically spitting out that.
Okay.
Like I'm removing the rooting, right?
I see. You do like a map, pipe it into map.get blog posts. Probably would be a little more idiomatic. So as opposed to just like tacking it on here, another function map.get. But let's see what's wrong. So list binary as, and it looked like, I'm not familiar with the syntax, so that's why I'm kind of asking a bunch of questions. We do some stuff even here, like with the decode as a specific struct, but I've never done it nested.
Yeah, because like this was like the linearity, right? I get the contents, and then you know I'm just basically like grabbing the actual return value and then calling body.
Right.
Then I pass body in there. Right, and we know that this worked in io.inspect, right? Because we saw the giant string over here.
If you copy this string out, you can open up IEX and let's play with this a little bit.
Okay.
Lock that.
Right, so if we said,
so you have to set learn magazine because you can't use the module variable. But
okay, so if I say learn, right, so I guess what I could do is, all right, let me just grab this guy and put it here for a second. Okay, so first we confirm this returns what we think.
it's just the body.
Right, that's a good string.
What's that? Well, can you IO puts this? Oh, if you ever need the return value from a previous thing, you can do V and then the number. So like if you need to do like,
Yep, so like the underscore.
yeah, but you can go back to the beginning.
Oh,
That's
cool.
Cool. All right, so this is a big old string. Cool.
Yep. Big old JSON string. It's not anything like special. It really just looks like.
Yep. No, I was kind of concerned about this less than greater than sign, but it just seems like that's like formatting ...
Yeah,
There's more
exactly.
stuff. More string here.
Right,
Okay.
and just to like, you know, I mean, what we can say, let's say, interesting. So if I say, let's say, content equals, how would I get the last return value?
So it wouldn't be V2 because that's
Whatever.
V1.
Right, so the question is this about piping, right? Because what I want to say now, if I just say now, right, does this work, right? Right, it does. So this is a question. This is a question of how this pipe is working. That's really breaking things, right? In the sense that the problem here is, and let me just like,
Yeah.
let's see if I do. Does that work? It does.
Okay.
So
maybe it was that little.
yeah, that's interesting because the error is coming from that crap.
Mm-hmm.
So you want me to pipe this into map.get.
Yeah.
And I want to, and then I say blog posts, right? Okay, cool. And then let's just make sure. Okay, so it was my unidiomatic elixir that was screwing me. Is there a reload?
Yeah, so you can type R and then the name of the module you want to reload. So if you type in, yeah, exactly.
Ooh, beautiful. Oh, that's so much fun. That's way better. Ah, yes.
Nice.
Cool. So I get all those articles now. Happy about that. And then, so those are my articles. Then I say present articles. Present articles takes my articles, enum with index, enum each, right? And here, like, in JavaScript, you can, like, I could say, like, just, I want to pass it to each, I don't know, print article, right? Do you have to always wrap it into, like, that didn't work. So you always wrap it in an anonymous function, basically.
So there is a way to get around this. This one is not a good example of it, but you can do it. So the problem with this is, it's a fancy name for this, like universal access, I think is what it's called. So in Ruby, you just say like dot puts. You don't have to call like parentheses. The way the interpreter reads this, if you just type in print article or whatever, is it's going to try to run it as a function right now. The way you get around that is, so here's like, you wrote this print article. So well, let's make this work. So instead of taking article and I as two different numbers, what I'll do is wrap it in a tuple. So it's expecting a tuple now. So the argument that I'll pass in is going to be print article title. Then I give it the array. So it's one argument. It's just a tuple. And that's it. I've passed it. Actually, I lied. One more thing. You put the ampersand in front of it.
Right, it's kind of similar to symbol to prop.
Yes, it's exactly that. It's saying take this function, don't call it, pass it in as.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I like it that way. Okay. Cool. And then print article, write string, trim, article, title. Okay.
Yeah, one thing that I like to do is I'd match out. I'd match here in the function head. So I took something like, it doesn't look like you need anything other than your title right now. Is that fair? So I'd say title.
Oh, right.
That way you can just say title.
And like you can say article, right? That's taking an article.
Exactly, yeah. You're making the assertion that it's also an article struct.
Okay, cool. Okay, and then
does with index have like an option for a starting index, like Ruby?
I don't know. I didn't look. All right. Yeah.
What was hard about this?
Really like trying to just understand one mix and like the application structure itself, like the debugging process, really slow. And I still don't feel like I have a good sense of like, like in your tic-tac-toe, you have like all these idiomatic, or what feels to me like really idiomatic, like, return values, like tuples and stuff. And like, there are a lot of case statements and I'm not doing that yet. I don't understand alias. No, I do. Alias tic-tac-toe board is giving me the word board. Nope. What is it doing?
Yeah, so it's taking the last part of this like module and making it available without having to type tic-tac-toe
Okay.
board. Just say board.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, like the pattern matching, like it just doesn't come like, I'm not thinking that way yet, although I think this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Um,
I was trying to figure out like a way of making it like showing off what I thought is a pretty cool feature.
Mhm.
There was some meta programming stuff you can do, but that makes my brain hurt.
Mhm.
To like generate those functions on the fly.
Mhm.
Since I didn't do that, we have a bunch of duplication. But
Yeah, I don't even know what this is. Like, this is a backward stabby arrow.
yeah, arrows everywhere.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, I just like, it's just hard. Like, my intuition is to program in a certain style, and I know that like I can get it working that way.
Sure.
But like trying to, just keep on getting it to be like more idiomatic, I guess is a little difficult.
Yeah, I mean the thing is that they're two different things, two different skills. Like one of them is getting it working, which is like getting libraries, knowing the functions, and the other thing is like, okay, how do I make it? Essentially, how do I make it right?
Yeah.
How do I make this closer to right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And fast, and got you covered.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to make a joke about I don't have to worry about fast with Elixir. And then yeah, that's basically most of what's been. Like this wasn't like as hard in the beginning last session, like I was really learning a lot about Elixir.
Yeah.
Here I didn't feel that as much. Like the thing I learned most is really about like these article structs, and kind of simplifying like the tuple into like something that behaves a little more like an object, which was nice. And playing with these other libraries was pretty fun. This is a nice little pattern, but I didn't feel like I learned as much about Elixir. I feel like I learned more about like structuring an application, and the domain of it like still doesn't feel necessarily complex enough to like unearth more functionality. I guess the kind of things I want to play with, right? So structs, we got that stuff, right? I'd like to understand how to better alias like some of the I want to move some of this functionality around, so that like for instance present article. I mean both of these, like my intuition is that they really belong to this, right? Okay. And like I'm kind of thinking like in terms of like class methods here, which is like this feels like not right, yeah, right, and like move. I just wish it allowed me to cheat. Right.
Try def tab if you have an Elixir or some type of help you out. Anyway, yeah, you want to move this over.
Yeah, like that feels like way better.
Yeah, and this is perfect because you do get a collection of articles back.
Right. Oh, that's the. Okay. Okay. Cool. That's better. Look at that. Nice. Yep. Okay. Cool. Yeah, huge improvement, Steven.
I can sleep tonight.
Okay. Cool. I like that. So now we just have article.all.
Right.
Right. And that looks way better. Right. And now in terms of this. So like by the way, this is where I'd like to memoize. Like I'd like to be able to call this more than once, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. And now this, I wish there was a way to declare a local variable like during the piping process, but I get what you're saying, the intermediate values shouldn't matter. So then present articles, I mean I don't like that here either.
Yeah,
and
so you could do that as like a CLI presenter or a CLI display or something like that. Just takes articles and then presents them out.
Right, it doesn't feel like it belongs in this module. Right, so like it'd kind of be like another.
Yeah, this is like your runner, right? Like this is just start the thing.
Right, so it'd be kind of like doesn't really feel like a CLI stuff. It really just feels like a kind of a presenter object, right? Okay. Like article. Yeah, and I like that because it's going to be also. I can kind of like stuff all of the. No. Really, you don't have an autocomplete for module?
Try a
def module. All right, okay. Fine.
It still doesn't have an atom, right?
There you go. Oh, nice. Used even the. Okay, cool. All right. So article presenter, and then this could be like.
Oh, and for the record, you're probably not going to need alias as much. The reason we use aliases is because the names of models are typically really long, like the name of the application, dot, name of the thing. Sometimes we want to shorten it up. But since you're just using top-level names, it doesn't really benefit you much.
Right, this I like index, that feels nice. And then I just basically take all this, and then so those pipes are right? Yeah. Okay, cool. And this would you put it like there on the? Nope, it was right.
Yep.
I can't see. Yeah, that's right. Okay, and then the print article. Let's move that.
You may get a private function if you want.
Def P. Yep. Okay. Article presenter, print article title. That doesn't feel right now. I think it's just print title. Right. Okay. And then, right. This I don't mind leaving here, especially because I'm gonna have to eventually put this in a loop of some sort.
Sure.
Okay. And then let me just get rid of all this crap. Right, this is some sort of article opener. Okay. All right, yeah, that feels better. I put that in the wrong folder, didn't I? Yes. Review and Finder. This kind of view. And you go outside, you're not a task. Okay. Cool. Article presenter. I like that. Okay, and let's see if this still works. And that's it, you just always have to abort like that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yep, because this belongs now. Yeah, I mean, I was just playing with that. Like, sure, this doesn't need, I don't see why. Like, I would really just have it be the string in there.
Like, you're thinking like a constant, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, like, I was mostly just trying to confirm that it was what I thought it was, but the truth is, it's
Did you do at something equals?
I did, yeah, of course.
I have to correct that all the time.
Awesome. Let me say 6, and beautiful. Awesome.
So, it's, as far as like performance goes, this would be about as fast as Ruby. Like you actually don't get much of like a performance gain doing just like
JSON parsing and opening things in the browser.
Yeah. Like it'll be a little faster, but it's not where it shines. Like really does something crazy. So Elixir's all about like concurrency, right? So let's do something like page to the first 5 pages. So I'll say something like enum.each. I'm going to give it a range, so 1 to 5, some function, it's the page, and I'm going to kind of bring all this in, and do a little interpolation here. And this will be kind of boring. Like we'll do it sort of the boring way first, which is, it's going to be serial, it's going to be, like, it's going to take as long as it takes. Each page, print. Hopefully we don't crash anything.
No, it's going to break.
Why?
Well, depending on what enum each returns, but...
Oh, you're right, because we don't print here anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. The truth is, I'm a little burnt at this point, so...
Alright, let me drive for like 30 seconds. I got you. Enjoy the show.
Okay.
So we call it... Oh, there are 2 files. I forgot. Which one's the bad? This one's bad. This one's going close the article, all returns the articles, and I'm going to cheat.
I get what you're trying to do. You're trying to parallelize it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The article and the total issue.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, that actually would make more sense almost.
Right. You have essentially your controller have also be responsible for printing the thing out. And this is going to explode, like you said. Enumerable is not okay because each return's okay. It'll just take a while. It should work. It should scripts. And then crash later on. That's the first page. That's our second round. Third round. So it's going to run for a little bit. You can do, to spin these off at the same time, you can do something like spawn. Give it a function.
And obviously this works way better than if you did something similar in Ruby, because they're actually separate processes and stuff.
Right. And we're going to see, it's going to be kind of hard to see, but I'll do like page. Because you're going to see the numbers. They'll all come out, but the input's going to be all crazy. So these are actually going to make HTTP requests. I'm assuming I don't crash the server. Ooh, purple not. Programming. About presenter 4 article index.
No. I was going to say that IO puts does return okay, so maybe
right.
Somehow it's been passed to article index.
Interesting. We should be getting down here.
I know what's going on.
Ooh, what is it?
I'm pretty sure that because we're spawning out processes, eventually article.all does return the enum of OK, and the program is breaking before the spawn process can actually do what you want it to do.
Ah, that's right. That's right.
Does that make sense?
It does. It totally does.
We have what's known as erase condition.
So if I do...
you can just comment out the rest. That way you never actually...
yeah, it just finishes up with that.
Exactly.
Oh, it finishes. It'd be too fast. So let's try this. So now I can say make sure run that.
I see. No, I don't.
Invalid conversion. You know what? You know what code? Give up. That should have worked.
Yeah, so what you're saying is in the background right now, it's still scraping, it's still getting all the data,
right.
But the problem is the program has ended.
So put it in IO gets here, and we'll just wait.
Like here?
Yeah, right after like mining. There's that gets and just like wait. Assuming we did everything right. I think we did. Right. There you go. So now they come back all crazy.
Yep. Interesting. Cool.
And they're all going to come out in like weird order.
Why does it keep on saying hello?
Where do we have that?
No, the hello is from the gets.
That's weird. Is it just waiting for our... Is it printing it over, like surfacing our gets? Maybe that's just a weird like IO thing. So maybe we say hello. Here. Maybe it's trying to like make sure that our prompt is the last thing. That's my guess. Yeah, hello from here. I think it's just like CLI tricks. Yeah, that's what it is. I don't think it's actually printing it out. I think it's just making sure that you're
Okay.
in the box.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
anyway, yeah, that's probably the next thing that I think would be the next thing to kind of like start thinking about. Is like, you're going to get the language really easily, right? Like the methods are methods, you know, iteration is iteration. I think now starting to think about this stuff and like tasks and a bunch of other like concurrency stuff.
Yeah.
Is probably the next thing I think would be really fun and exciting for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to build the loop and stuff and get more practice with the case statements and things like that. And like building by loops, I mean by basically using recursion correctly to create looping processes for like which article you'd like to read, encapsulating them more in more files and things. But I'm tired. All right, everyone. I guess that's it for tonight. We're just gonna end early because I'm a little tired. This was, I don't know, this was interesting in that, like, I feel like I learned more last time. I feel like I was really mostly wrestling with, like, mix and just some, like, weird stuff. But the structs are great. Like, that was pretty nice. I think this is really elegant. I got used to piping, but I'm still, I don't know. Next week, my plan was to move into Phoenix and start trying to do web-based stuff. I just feel like I just don't feel super comfortable with the language or like the packaging and stuff. And I don't want to like get, you know, when I learned Rails, I first started learning Rails out in Ruby. And that was like it was tough for me to know where Rails ended and Ruby began. And I don't want to get into that with Phoenix. And like when I look through like, you know, kind of, so I've done a lot of these. I mean, I want to look at case, condition, map, pattern matching. I want to look at recursion, renewable stream sounds. Yeah, I want to like find ways to play with more of this stuff before I move into Elixir. But yeah. All right, guys. Have an awesome Friday night. I will see you next week. Thank you, Stephen.
No problem.
The mentee has become the manatee. The manatee has become the memento. All right. Good night, everybody.